Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs, presents today's sports report. On today's program, we'll talk about University of Georgia football and more. And now, from the studios of UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram, here's the host of today's sports report, Chris Hall.
All right, welcome to today's sports report, brought to you by UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Chris Hall, your host. Matthew Hall joining us today from his home studio. And we're so very pleased today to have joining us Tavarres King from the University of Georgia. Played for the Dawgs back in 2011, 2012. One of the great receivers in the history of the University of Georgia. In fact, in 2011, Tavarres had 42 catches for the Bulldogs and 950 yards. I'm sorry, that's in 2012. 950 yards in 2012. Tavarres, welcome to the program today. We're so glad to have you with us today as we talk a little bit about University of Georgia football. And also, one question for you. Seriously, man, couldn't you get 50 extra yards to get over 1,000 in 2012? Couldn't you?
man, you know what? It's so wild. I think they tried to get it to me versus Nebraska. We were playing Nebraska in the bowl game, and I dropped it. Murray dropped a beautiful pass in there for me, and it hit off my fingertips, man. I think that would have put me over the mark, and I would have had 1,000.
Oh, the regrets. Well, of course, it was Aaron Murray's fault, right? Wasn't it Aaron Murray's fault, right?
No. I can't give that to him. I got to take the blame on that one. He should have had 50 more yards to add to his tally as well.
Yeah. Well, I remember that very well, and you were a great player for the University of Georgia. And, of course, Matthew, it's good to have you with us. Have you ever dropped a pass, Matthew, from Aaron Murray? I know you dropped one from your dad as he was throwing to you out in the yard, but
not from Aaron Murray. Maybe on a video game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, but we're glad to have Tavarres King with us. Let's talk a little bit about. I know you're a great Georgia Bulldog fan, obviously, and you love the Bulldogs as well as Matthew and myself, and all Bulldog fans do. Of course, that big game last Saturday, September 4th, what a huge game. It was so anticipated for months leading up to that game. And I had the heebie-jeebies, and I don't know how to define what that is, but I had them as we approached that game and as the kickoff game. And I'm sure that, most Georgia Bulldog fans had a mixture of apprehension and excitement and what's going to happen and that kind of thing. Of course, the game turned out the way we wanted it to turn out as far as a win was concerned, 10-3, Georgia beating Clemson. But from a perspective, from a fan, as we watch it on television, that's one thing. But from a perspective of a player, from someone who's been on the field, from someone who's been with a team, from someone who's been in big games and in front of huge crowds, as you watch that game on September the 4th, what were your thoughts about the University of Georgia, and maybe what pleased you the most, and perhaps what concerned you the most about this edition of the Georgia Bulldogs?
Man, I was very, very pleased with, obviously, the defense. And when you can get to the quarterback and disrupt him, and that really helps out your back end. So I was really pleased to see the defense flying around the ball. Guys were eager and ready to play. Hats off to Jordan Davis, to Kobe Dean. Those guys were leaders on that defense, obviously, and it showed. From an offensive perspective, I think that Coach Monken put guys in a situation to succeed. Obviously, not having guys out there that we would have had out there without injuries was huge. We had a lot of young guys step up, make some plays. But I think Coach Monken did a really, really, really good job of putting them in a situation where they didn't have to do a lot of thinking. They could just go out there and play.
Yeah, and most of the passes from J.D. Daniels went to the tight ends. Brock Bowers, freshman tight end, the leading receiver in the game, 6 receptions, 43 yards. Most of the receptions, most of the passing went to tight ends and the backs. Not a lot going down field, and probably, I guess, a combination of the fact that you have some injured receivers, your top line receivers, some of them are injured, and first game jitters. And on top of that, Clemson's a very good defensive team. I mean, their strength is obviously on the defensive side of the line. Their offensive line just really had a tough night. So as a wide receiver, and that's your thing, you know, as a wide receiver, did the Georgia passing attack in the Clemson game give you any cause for concern? JT had 30 passing for 135 yards. As you were watching it and as you are mentally looking at the game, anything in the passing game that might give you cause for concern, or are you going to give this first game a pass? What do you think?
I think you kind of have to give it a pass, obviously, with the injuries. And then you said it. It's week one. You're throwing a lot of new guys out there that haven't played on a big stage. But to that point, like I said, Coach Monken put them in situations where they didn't have to think a lot and they didn't have to do a lot. And I think that JT took that game plan and took what was given to him, and it worked out for him. So I think I don't necessarily have cause for concern with the guys out wide, because I know the body of work that's there when we are healthy, with a Tavarres Jackson, with a Jermaine Burton, with our tight ends, and we haven't even seen Big Eric Gilbert yet. So I know what's there already, and then with the additions of an Eric Gilbert, and then you get back a big O Washington down the middle. So if you get, I know what's there. I'm not concerned about it at all. And I think Jermaine Burton is just a special player. I think he understands the game. I think he understands how to run routes. And you know, again, I've had the opportunity to watch him work. So I think that as the season progresses and as the guys get more familiar or more playing time around him, and I think that he'll begin to emerge as a leader, as somebody that we can go to in go-to situations. Shoot, we'll begin to make plays as he's shown that he can do.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, okay, Georgia, of course, you know, such a big build-up. The nation's eyes, football eyes, were on that game Saturday, September 4th, as Georgia was playing Clemson. Now, you come from that game, and this coming Saturday, Georgia will have the opening home game for the 2021 season, and they'll be taking on the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Now, UAB is a pretty decent team. They won over Jacksonville State 31-0 in their first game. And so, I was wondering, and from your perspective, you've been there and you've done that, when you come out of a big game with all this hype and build-up, like you're playing Clemson, national playoff implications, even though it is the first game of the season, and then you come home and you're going to play UAB, and you're going to be a huge favorite, and Georgia is a huge favorite. Is it difficult to prepare for a game like that, or is that on the coaches to say, okay, that first game's done, now you've got an opponent coming in here that's a pretty decent football team, and you don't want to be embarrassed, you have the talent to win this game? How do you, as a player and as a coach, you think, how do you handle going from Clemson, and no offense to UAB, but from Clemson to UAB, how do you handle that? How does that go?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a lot on the coaches and the leaders of the team to grab guys and be like, yo, we got to keep the main thing, and that's winning games. If we're going to want to get to where we're going, and that's a national championship, we can't have any hiccups. So I think focus has, week in and week out, obviously has to be at an all-time high. So that's on the leaders of the football team. But with that in mind, like you said, UAB is they're not a cupcake squad. They're a really good team. It'll be an interesting game. They'll probably stack the box to try to make us throw the ball. So I'm excited to see, and that'll give guys out wide to emerge on the outside and make some plays.
Yeah, UAB is not a pushover by any means, but they are a team that Georgia obviously should handle, and you want them to handle them pretty quickly. I don't want to see like a 10-0 game at the halftime. I want us to get out there. Let's go for it. Speaking of passing now, the word is coming out. JT Daniels has some kind of upper body injury kind of thing, may limit him from playing in the game on Saturday. So that may give us a picture of maybe a Carson Beck, maybe even Brock Vandegrift. They may, JT may start. From the word is he's going to start, but that he may be limited. So that'll be interesting as well. We have a stacked quarterback room, for the University of Georgia. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That'll be kind of interesting. I love Carson Beck. He had a great spring game. And Brock Vandegrift is just he's got the wow factor to him. And, of course, Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett is in there. We don't want to diss him by any question. So it'll be kind of interesting to maybe see some of the backups to JT Daniels. That'll be kind of cool, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be very, very good. And the beautiful thing about that, you said, that we have depth. We have guys like Stetson Bennett that have played in games, that have won us games, some big games. Yeah. So it won't be too much of a knock if JT Daniels can go.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a break here. We'll come back and we'll look at the SEC schedule. And we'll make some prognostications and predictions about what's going to happen in the SEC. Tavarres King with us, one of the great receivers in the history of the University of Georgia football. And we're so happy to have him with us today on today's Sports Report, brought to you by UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. And this year, we're so very pleased to have, as a wonderful sponsor of our program, Southeast Mortgage. Now, when you go to Sanford Stadium, and you're just taking in the sights and you're soaking in the atmosphere, every now and then you'll see on the signage around the electronic signage, you'll see Southeast Mortgage come up, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. And they are a great supporter of our program and a sponsor this year. And we're going to take a break and hear from Southeast Mortgage right now.
Today's Sports Report will be right back after this message from Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs.
This is head coach Kirby Smart. It's my job to coach the fundamentals of football and prepare my guys for the future. Well, my friends at Southeast Mortgage are preparing you for your future by becoming a homeowner. Every Bulldog deserves a home. If you're in the market to purchase or refinance, I trust Southeast Mortgage to provide the best experience and get it done. Visit southeastmortgage.com/UGA to get pre-approved for your home loan today. Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Southeast Mortgage of Georgia Incorporated, NMLS, number 103956. Georgia Residential Mortgage License number 6578.
The only thing better than winning between the hedges on Saturday is coming home to this on Sunday. On the football field, I'm a coach. At home, I'm a dad. The field is where legends are made, where boys become men, dreams become reality, and teammates become family. Family is the most important thing. It's everything we have. And home is where a family's memories are made. So when the time comes to finance your home, make the smart choice and get your home loan with Southeast Mortgage.
Thank you for joining us, and welcome back to today's Sports Report.
All right, we're back here on today's Sports Report, brought to you by UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. And we have Tavarres King with us, one of the great receivers for the University of Georgia and history of the University of Georgia. By the way, you and Aaron Murray every now and then kind of get together for a podcast, don't you? Isn't that right?
We do. He has one, and then I have one as well called Second to None with Blaine Gilmer. Often I'll jump on his and Drew Butler's podcast, Punt, Pass, and Kick.
Yeah.
And then, I'll have them on my podcast as well. We'll discuss some Georgia football and some SEC football.
Yeah, the podcast world. You can't have too many UGA programs, I'll tell you. All right, let's talk.
No, can't have enough.
Let's talk a little bit about SEC football coming up. This coming Saturday, South Carolina, which won last week over East Illinois, 46-0. Shane Beamer, his first game as the head coach at South Carolina, with a coach at quarterback, kind of an interesting kind of thing as a student coach. South Carolina
Sam Nolan.
Nolan, great kid, and he had a good game too. South Carolina will be taking on East Carolina. Now, East Carolina lost to Appalachian State 33-19 last week. And it's kind of interesting, Tavarres and Matthew. I've been looking at, what Las Vegas is saying about this game. They actually have East Carolina as a 3-point favorite over South Carolina. Kind of an interesting thing. So, I'm going to go with South Carolina. I think they'll win. But what about it, Tavarres? What do you think about this game, South Carolina and East Carolina?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Zeb Nolan in the Gamecocks as well. I think ECU got those points because I think South Carolina's going to East Carolina.
Yeah.
So I think they're getting the points because they're at home. So I'm gonna take the Gamecocks as well.
All right, Matthew, what you got?
I would expect a good game out of East Carolina, but I do see South Carolina pulling away.
All right, Tennessee, which Josh Heupel, the new head coach at Tennessee, beat Bowling Green last week, 38-6. Tennessee will be taking on Pittsburgh from the ACC this coming Saturday. Pittsburgh beat UMass 51-7. Kind of an interesting game. Tennessee traveling to Pittsburgh. This will be a big test, I think, for the Volunteers under first-year coach Josh Heupel. I want to go with the SEC, but I don't know. I may have to go with Pittsburgh in this one. What do you think, Tavarres?
Yeah, I want to go with the SEC, and I'm going with the SEC. I'm going with Joe Milton. I think he gets it done with his legs. I think he has a lot of ability with his legs and with his arm. He can sling it. If they find pieces to put around him, I think they've got something. So I think Tennessee might pull it out.
Well, I hope I'm wrong and you're right. How about that? All right, Matthew, what do you think? Tennessee and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with Tennessee here. I mean, Pittsburgh, I would imagine, will put up a good fight in the game, but I'm gonna stick with the SEC here. I don't see Pittsburgh beating Tennessee. I just really don't see it.
All right, Auburn will be taking on Alabama State. Auburn won in week 1 over Akron 60-10. Brian Harrison is the head coach, and that was his first game for Auburn. They'll be taking on Alabama State. Alabama State beat Millsaps 14-13. Auburn is the team I love to hate. Now, I don't really hate them, but yeah. But I got to go with Auburn. They should handle Alabama State. What do you think, Tavarres?
Yeah, Coach Bobo's offense looked really nice the other day, so I think
good.
they might hang another sticky piece on Alabama State.
All right, Matthew, what do you think? Auburn?
Definitely Auburn here. I mean, Bo Nix coming back, he's got a lot of experience. I mean, they got Tank Bigsby here. I mean, I think they have a good game here and pull out a victory easily.
All right, Florida will be taking on South Florida. Last week under Dan Mullen, the Gators won over Florida Atlantic 35-14. South Florida had a tough opening game, losing to North Carolina State 45-0. It's got to be Florida, don't you think, Tavarres?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
as much as I hate.
As much
as I hate to.
I agree. I always hate to go to Florida. I don't see any way they lose to South Florida.
Yeah. All right. Texas A&M beat Kent State 41-10 in the first game of the season. Jimbo Fisher, of course, the coach who says he's going to beat Alabama this year. And he said it in a little rougher way than I just said it. Texas A&M taking on Colorado. Now, Colorado beat Northern Colorado 35-7. Texas A&M traveling to Colorado. Texas A&M has got a good team. I got to go with Texas A&M in this one. What about it, Tavarres?
Yeah, the Aggies look good. I feel like they pull out of this one by a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go
I wholeheartedly agree. Texas A&M, they have a good game here to, and pull away with a big victory.
Alabama takes on Mercer this coming Saturday. Now, Alabama needs to go away. They just need to go away. Man, Alabama looked good in that, Bryce Young in his first game as starting quarterback, freshman. My word. Of course, Alabama beat Miami 44-13 under Coach Nick Saban. Mercer beat Point University 69-0 in their opening game. I know Mercer, the athletic program, needs the money, but seriously, you want to put your kids through through this, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm sure they'll enjoy the experience. So.
Obviously taking Bama in this one.
Yeah. How about Matthew? Any drama with you, brother?
No.
He just shakes his head. Oh, no. All right.
No, Bama all the way.
Mississippi State beat Louisiana Tech 35-34 in a very entertaining game in the first game of the season under Michael Leach. they'll be taking on North Carolina State. Mississippi State traveling to NC State. And, of course, again, NC State beat South Florida 45-0. Should be an interesting game. North Carolina State's got a pretty decent team. They're a pretty good team. Boy, this is going to be a tough one. I may have to go with NC State in this one. So what about it, Tavarres?
We agree on this one. I think NC State pulls it out. They're at home. They coming off a big win, big offensive day. NC State.
Yeah. Matthew, what about you?
We're going to go with Mississippi State on this one.
I tell you, I love Mike Leach. I just love watching him coach. I mean, he's a trip. All right, Arkansas. Now, this is a big game, you know. Arkansas beat Rice 38-17, first game of the season under Sam Pittman. Arkansas will be taking on Texas, and that'll be in Fayetteville. And Arkansas, Texas beat Louisiana 38-18, the Raging Cajuns. So you got Arkansas and Texas. Now, you know, I'm a little older, and I remember very well the Southwest Conference and back in the day when you had all those Texas teams in the Southwest Conference, and you had Arkansas and you had Oklahoma State, and this old school kind of matchup here, but very interesting. Arkansas and Texas in Fayetteville. That place is going to be rocking. I think I'm going to. Oh, I think I'm going to go with Arkansas. I think Arkansas might beat Texas. What do you think, Barry?
Man, I think it's going to be a very, very fun game to watch. I think Texas's offense is fun. They got a running back, Bajan, number 5. He's electric with the ball in his hands. But Sam Pittman's got a linebacker over there that plays like Ray Lewis, and a safety that hits everything. I'm going to stick with SEC and keep it kosher.
All right. What about it, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go against Pittman on this one. I'm going to pick Texas in this game. I think that Texas, I think, you know, they look good. They look good, you know, last week. I think they'll look better at home. Yeah. So I'm going to pick the upset here.
And welcome to the SEC, University of Texas. Not quite yet, but it's on the horizon. Kentucky will be taking on Missouri. Now, this is an SEC matchup. In the SEC East matchup, Kentucky under Mark Stoops beat UL Monroe 45-10 in the first game. And Eli Drankowicz's Missouri Tigers beat Central Michigan 34-24. So Kentucky traveling to Columbia to take on Missouri. I think I'll go with Kentucky. What do you think, Barry?
I'm right there with you. I think Will Levis gets it done. I think he's got a lot of weapons out wide that he's utilized. Kentucky looks like a different offense. Looks like a different team offensively. So, yep, Will Levis and Kentucky gets it done.
All right, Matthew, what do you think?
Kentucky? Yeah, definitely Kentucky. Yeah.
Okay, Ole Miss, which beat Louisville 43-24. Lane Kiffin was not there. He had a diagnosed with COVID. I think he's doing okay and might be back on the sidelines for this game against Austin Peay, which beat UT Chattanooga 30-20. So Ole Miss and Austin Peay, you got to go with the Ole Miss Rebels. What about it, Tavarres?
Yeah, they look really good Monday against Louisville.
Yeah, they did.
Really, really good. I even like the powder blue uniform. Yeah. So I'm on the Lane train. They're going to crush them.
I got you. We'll talk about that sissy blue uniform in just a minute. What about it, Matthew? What do you think? Ole Miss or Austin Peay?
I think Ole Miss gets it. They get it done here. I mean, they look good, even with Kiffin not on the sidelines. I think they got Matt Corral. I mean, they've just got a lot of positives, and a lot of momentum in their favor, I believe, this season early on. So I think Ole Miss definitely.
All right, LSU, which lost to UCLA 38-27. Ed Orgeron, I love Ed Orgeron, but he made fun. He mocked as he characterized it, the sissy blue uniforms of UCLA. What in the world was the man thinking? When you say that after the game, you don't say it before. Anyway, LSU in an upset lost to UCLA 38-27. First game of the season, they'll be taking on McNeese, which lost to West Florida 42-36. LSU, you got to go with LSU in this one with a win. But Kind of entertaining, right, Tavarres? Sissy blue. Do you have a sissy blue suit or something, Tavarres, that you wear every now and then?
Yeah, every now and then I throw it on in the springtime.
But not after Labor Day. You can't wear it after Labor Day, right?
No, not after Labor Day. But no, Coach O needs to worry about his guys tackling. It was rough, so that's what needs to be his focus, I think. But I think they get it done this week, obviously.
And Matthew, what do you think?
I believe about the rebound here in this game, LSU.
Well, under the bless their hearts category, Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, the Vandy alum, former offensive coordinator for Notre Dame, Vanderbilt lost to East Tennessee 23-3. Now, East Tennessee is not a bad football team, but you didn't see this coming. But boy, it just really was a gut punch. And Clark Lee is very honest. He said his guys are still in shock that they lost to East Tennessee 23-3, and it obviously wasn't close, and it was just a terrible game for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt will be taking on Colorado State, which itself didn't have the greatest opening game. They lost to North Dakota State 42-23. You know, Tavarres, last year, Vanderbilt didn't win a game, and I picked them in almost every game. I was bound and determined that Vanderbilt was going to win a football game, and I'm going to pick them again. We're going to get Colorado State. What do you think, Tavarres?
I think not. You heard it. You said it. He said his guys are shocked. They're still thinking about last week. They ain't even thinking about this week. They're going to get thumped again. I got a petition on my podcast to kick them out of the league.
No, don't do that, Tavarres. Come on. We already kicked Pluto out of all the planets. So let's don't kick Vanderbilt out.
No, they can stay. They do well academically, but it's wild, man. You know, James Franklin had that program going this way, and for them to, kind of be going this way, it's you kind of wonder what's going on, but. I got to pick against them this time around again.
You know, at Vandy, they wait for the baseball season. Obviously, a very good baseball program there, and basketball as well. All right, Matthew, what do you think? Vanderbilt or Colorado State? Got to go.
I'm gonna go with Colorado State. I'm gonna go with Colorado State here. I think they pull away here.
You guys are breaking my heart. All right, finally. Georgia versus UAB. Of course, Georgia beating Clemson 10-3, and the UAB beat Jacksonville State. Now, the Jacksonville State, not from Jacksonville, Florida, but from North Alabama, 31-0. UAB, it might be an interesting game, but obviously you got to go with Georgia. And I hope we just, from the opening kickoff, let's take the thing, let's do what we need to do and get it over with. What about it, Tavarres?
Yeah, I think we're going to thump them.
Yeah, Matthew, you'll be in the stands Saturday, plan to be. So what do you think? What you going to see up there?
Yeah, definitely Georgia. I mean, regardless of JT starts or not, I think Georgia is they're going to roll. And they'll roll right on through an off week for JT Daniels if it has to be that way. And with a victory, either with Beck or Vanderbilt or any of the other quarterbacks that Georgia would have. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been such a great pleasure to have Tavarres King with us from back in the day. Are you to the point now, Tavarres, in your life where you're saying, back when I played? Are you far enough?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think I've reached that point. It's back in the day now.
Yeah, it's back in the day. Well, Tavarres, thank you for being with us today. It's been our pleasure.
Thank you, man.
And we really appreciate you being with us here on our program today. God bless you, and best of luck to you, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bless you guys. Thanks so much. Yeah. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. All right, Matthew. Well, that's going to wrap up our program for today. And again, Georgia taking on UAB Saturday, September the 11th. And, of course, it is September 11th, and we all know the significance of that date. And so while we enjoy the freedom of going to a football game and enjoying a football game, we also, obviously, throughout the day, we're going to be reminded of and we're going to be thinking about the sacrifice of our men and women who have served this country in defense of our nation and our freedom and our values, and who continue to do that, continue to serve. And God bless America. And we thank you for those who are standing for freedom and preserving that freedom for our nation. And we hope September 11th will be a day of remembrance and a day of victory for the University of Georgia. All right, Matthew, any closing words?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. All right. Well, thank you for being with us today on today's Sports Report, brought to you by UGA Football News. And we thank Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. When it comes time for you to finance or refinance your home, just connect with those guys and they'll take care of you. SoutheastMortgage.com/UGA. Until next time, go Dogs, and join us again for our next edition of today's Sports Report, brought to you by UGA Football News.
UGA Football News would like to thank Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs, for sponsoring our program today. When the time comes to finance or refinance your home, make the smart choice and get your home loan from Southeast Mortgage. Your friends at Southeast Mortgage are ready to help you. Visit southeastmortgage.com/UGA today for more information. This and previous editions of today's Sports Report can be found at UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram, on many leading podcast apps, and at todaysportsreport.com. Be sure to join us for our next program as we keep you up to date with University of Georgia football and more. Until then, be safe and go Dogs.